From beautiful Mont-Tremblant, Quebec, TSN is proud to present the 1994 Michelin Enduroseries. Hello again, everyone. I'm Vic Rowder, along with John Powell. Welcome to round 4 of this Michelin Enduroseries. 20 cars have qualified for this race. 250 kilometers on a very special race course.
Vic, Grand Prix Can-Am, Factory Trans Am. Ford, Chrysler, General Motors have raced here.
It's remarkable when you think of the names as well. Niki Lauda, Jackie Stewart, some of the world's greatest and best have all been here as we recap the first 3 races of this Michelin Enduro Series. And let's start with race 1, Grand Sport at Mosport. What a duel it was between Kenny Wilden, Greg Wilkins, their Camaro, against Peter Lockhart, Nick Morant, their BMW M5, and there was plenty of this. Fender to fender, bumper to bumper, but score 1 for General Motors, Wilden and Wilkins.
Grand Prix Molson and a hometown boy, Stefan Veilleux, in the Dicom Porsche 968 took the win.
Race 3 was also here at Mont-Tremblant, and it was the Ford Mustang, the Cobra, driven solo by Scott Maxwell, scoring the first Grand Sports win for Ford. So here are the Grand Sports standings after 3 races. It's Wilden Wilkins, their Camaro, by 22 points in front of Lockhart and Moran, sitting at 270. Now let's go on to sports class.
Sports class at race 1 in Mosport, John Shirk in the Prelude over David White's Eagle Talon. And then following up at Montreal, Gunther Schmidt and Alistair Ogue in the 1995 factory Volkswagen Jetta. Race 3 at Mont-Tremblant, Shirk wins again to take the lead in that series.
So the standings after 3 races in sports class, not shirking his duties. John is your leader, 312, comfortably over David White in his Eagle Talon. Greg Stuzik sits alone in 3rd. Now on to touring.
And it was a stunning victory at Mosport for Rob Vining in the Acura Integra, followed up at Montreal by Robert and Normand Boyer, a brilliant victory in the Nissan NX 2000.
In race 3 at Mont-Tremblant, Jocelyn Hébert wins in the Monsieur Muffler Honda Civic. So after 3 races in touring class, the leader, Jocelyn Hébert, slim margin, 297 to 278 over Benoit Tige. So now you're up to date. 3 races, 3 classes in the Michelin Enduro Series. Now it's race 4 again here at Mont-Tremblant. 20 cars getting ready to take the green flag. Let's check the starting grid, and on the pole,
Peter Lockhart in the BMW M5.
Terry McDonald-Cadieux, Rolf von Engelbrechten will share the driving of the number 26 Bugle Boy Pontiac Trans Am, and Rolf will take the first shift.
On the second row, Stefan Veilleux, the victor of Montreal, driving the Dicom Express Porsche 968.
Greg Wilkins taking the second driving shift, the number 3 Goodrich Camaro. Remember, they won at Mosport. Kenny Wilden will open up, and they're going to be conservative.
Well, I think, today the biggest thing here at Mont-Tremblant is the tire factor, and we're going to run a conservative race. We saw a few people have major tire problems yesterday, so we're going to conserve our tires, run a conservative pace, and then hopefully have some left at the end. And we've got a pretty good lead in the championship right now, and the Good Wrench team really feels that we want to run conservative for this race, especially with the tire situation, and just come out of here with some good points and let the other people make the mistakes and try and go for first.
And in race 3, in his Mustang, Scott Maxwell proved he can win right here.
Well, it's one of my favorite tracks. I love Saint-Javite. It's very challenging. When it's sort of an old-style course, it's also very tough on the car. It's fairly bumpy, and the circuit's very abrasive, so it's hard on tires, hard on brakes, but overall, it's a real driver's circuit.
Starting outside of row 3 in his Chevrolet Camaro, Jeff Lapsevich, disappointing opening race you'll remember at Mosport. The top touring qualifier, well, that's Bob Armstrong, who'll be sharing the number 33 UAP Nissan NX 2000 with his co-driver, Mark Craig. Peter Lockhart is on the pole, 20 cars making their way around. The top sport qualifier, well, it's the number 4 Racers Against Impaired Driving, the Eagle Talon, driven by David White and Greg Stuzik. Right now, they are second in points.
Second in points to John Shirk. And thanks to Sony Handycam, you have a chance to ride on board with John Shirk. Here's the view from inside his car.
And John, we have many Sony handicaps throughout the field, and we have two on board with Peter Lockhart in his BMW M5, currently second in Grand Sport standings, and very happy with the car.
It's a very strong and stable chassis. Very, very predictable. A very nice car to drive at speed. It's very sensitive to change. All in all, it's a very nice car for endurance racing.
As the cars continue on their final warm-up lap, we talk a lot about rhythm in racing, one corner setting up the other. You hear a lot of that at Mosport. Is it more important here?
Even more critical at Mont Tremblant because it's not as fast as Mosport. The corners come one after each other. Bing, bing, bing. And even the straight isn't straight. Lockhart loves this racetrack. He's very disciplined. Scott Maxwell in the Ford Mustang, an excellent driver for this racetrack.
My favorite part of Mont Tremblant, through the start-finish line, up the hill to turn one. They say that the brave don't lift. Those with not as much courage, you can actually hear the revs come down.
That's right. And as you go over the crest to the top of corner one, you plunge down this long hill into the S's. Very, very difficult, this racetrack. A lot of fun.
Some of the world's best, as we say, from Stewart to Lauda, have all driven here. The Michelin Enduroseries is brought to you in part by iTech, clearly the best protection in sight. By STP. STP engine treatment helps protect against engine wear start after start after start. And by Minidisc from Sony, the smaller, recordable, compact disc. Welcome back to TSN's exclusive coverage, round 4, the Michelin Enduroseries from Le Circuit Mont Tremblant, as we ride along with Stéphane Veilleux, just ahead of him, the pole sitter, in his BMW M5. That's Peter Lockhart, as this field of 20 now snakes its way around the famous, sometimes infamous, Namaro hairpin, setting up for a very tricky start-finish line.
A tricky start, Vic, because the start-finish straight has a little kink to the left. And as they bring the field down, pole sitter Lockhart is going to try and finesse the start, because as he turns left here and pops out, he can gain a little bit of momentum. You see he's hung back. Now he's on the gas just a little bit, waiting for the green, and he's stolen the start. Lockhart, a great start from...
As he drags himself away from Engelbrechen, and now we watch from Stéphane Veilleux. Can he move up inside row 2? Yes. Stéphane Veilleux has grabbed second place ahead of Rolf Engelbrechen in that Pontiac Firebird.
Very difficult through the S's here as we watch the field stream through, and then on the corner of your screen, there goes Boye inside in the Nissan 2000 NX. What a great move as they come through corner 7, Lockhart leading.
And we see a puff of smoke at the back of the field.
That's Teague in the
Honda Prelude, the gold Honda Prelude. That is Benoit Teague as we go on board with Peter Lockhart.
Lockhart in the lead. Look, he's glancing in the rearview mirror. He wants to know where everybody is as he's got a clear track in front of him down through corner 7. And the smoke inside the car. There's something wrong with Lockhart's car, Vic.
And we'll keep an eye on that as we look back now to a replay of the start. On the top, we ride along with Stefan Veer. Ahead of him, the pole sitter, that's Peter Lockhart. Then we're in row 2 with Greg Wilkins right behind Rolf van Engelbrechten. And let's just see how this plays out.
Lockhart finessed the start, so keep an eye on the top car. As he gathers momentum, they come across that kink, and you see Lockhart's right on it. Veer goes through, and Wilkins, he doesn't follow at all. He loses a spot to Maxwell there.
And also, Duckworth slips in as well. So instead of being on the bumper, what happened to Wilkins?
Fast asleep at the switch.
And then quickly down and into those S's. You talk about how quickly those S's come up on you. As once again, we're back with our leader. Let's run it down for you. It's Lockhart. It's Veilleux in the Porsche, followed by
Van Engelbrechten in the Firebird. This is the carousel, a double apex turn. Lockhart's got it right. Veilleux right up behind him as they go up the straightaway, over the crest, and down the hill, heading towards the Gulch. A wonderful racetrack, and Duckworth looking extremely good in the number 2 GM Goodwrench car.
If there is a problem with that BMW, it doesn't seem to be apparent right now.
It's not smoking on the outside, but there was definitely smoke on the inside.
That number 3, of course, that is Greg Wilkins. A disappointing spark for Wilkins, who saw 2 cars get by him, and Wilkins currently running in 6th position behind his teammate, Duckworth.
Up to the narrow hairpin out of the Michelin bridge, and there goes Veilleux inside.
Oh my goodness, what a great move.
Took it right away from Lockhart. He was not expecting that move, and the momentum, no, Lockhart's in the pits.
So that's why he must have given some kind of signal that I'm going to go into the pit lane, and he stayed to the outside. Now maybe we'll get an indication of what the problem was with the smoke.
They're opening the door, the crew's inside, and Veilleux is in the lead from Van Engelbrechten and Maxwell. Well, what a disappointment for Lockhart to be in the pits. Veilleux is really putting some ground. There goes Lockhart.
And he goes back out in last position. And we get word they were fixing a loose fire extinguisher.
I know Peter Lockhart very well. He's raced for me before. That in-car shot says 1,000 words. He is steamed.
Now we've got a great battle for 4, 5, and 6-3 Camaros. Duckworth followed by Wilkins, and Jeff Lapsevich in the number 32 Tim Hortons Camaro is up as we ride along with Greg Wilkins, trying to chase down his teammate Duckworth.
Bumpy into the carousel here. That bumping, it's upset Wilkins. He's lost a position.
Lapsevich has come through the inside, and maybe those bumps throwing Wilkins to the outside.
No doubt about it. And Jeff took advantage of the smoother racetrack on the inside of the carousel and got the position. As they go down the hill now into the Gulch, very fast here, 130 miles an hour.
Oh, and Wilkins has got it back. 1, 2 spots possibly. No, his teammate. Look at Duckworth close the door on him to hold on to 5th spot.
A great move.
And Lapsevich has grabbed it right back.
Up to the Michelin bridge, and boy, Wilkins was not expecting that great dicing here.
What a great 3-way battle between 3 Camaros, and while they battle, of course, the field closes on them. Back up now to the leader, Stefan Veilleux, followed closely by the Firebird, Van Engelbrechten. Now let's check in on the battle in sport, John Shirk.
Vic, there's a smoking car ahead. I just saw a whiff of smoke. I think that's Benoit Teague.
That's his Honda Prelude. Yeah, we saw that a little earlier, and my goodness, like the smoking gun, he's guilty as Shirk tries to chase down David White in his Eagle Talon. Remember, Shirk is the points leader after 3 races in sport. White is 2nd in class. What a battle they've got going here. Now back to Peter Lockhart. Remember, he had to go into the pit to fix that loose fire extinguisher, and now he is a man on a mission, and he is rolling and rolling by everybody. He goes by T. Now it's Lockhart as he just appears to be lapping the field.
Over the crest of the hill and down into the gulch. Look, he's going to try and take both those cars. He puts one away, two away, right in front of Dave White into the gulch as they head up to the Michelin Bridge. Lockhart on a move, trying to regain lost ground.
And did you take notice of Shirk? When he saw that Lockhart was coming with his indicator, he gave him the little right-hand signal, pass right.
That's a truly professional driver, not wanting to interfere with Lockhart's Grand Sport hopes and dealing with his own driving mission in sport. That BMW is hooked up as Lockhart comes very nicely out of Namaro, using up all the road and heads down the start-finish straightaway, chasing Mark Schill's AC Delco Firebird.
Now let's remember again, Schill is currently running in 9th place. Lockhart, after being in pit lane, rejoined the field in 20th position. So now, as he goes up on the bumper of Schill, has an opportunity to move into 9th position.
Into the S's, left and then right out of the S's and heading down where we look at Stefan Veilleux, who's into the carousel here. Veilleux leads from von Engelbrechten out of the carousel. He's really hooked up as well, doing a nice job.
And Stefan Veilleux, the leader, has really pulled away from von Engelbrechten and been able to build up a comfortable lead. Nobody, the clean track, they talk about clean track, it's great.
I noticed, Vic, that von Engelbrechten seemed to be using up his tires a lot. Maybe that's why he's dropping back as we go on board now with John Shirk still chasing Dave White's number 4 Talon, coming out of 7 and down into the carousel. Notice he's going to the inside here. It's much bumpier on the left side, so it's cleaner for him to go inside. Smooth track, better line out. And there he goes from inside David White's car. He's got his windshield full of Honda. And back to Veilleux. What a great job the Dicom Porsche 968 Veilleux is doing here at Mont Tremblant, out of Namaro hairpin and down the start-finish straight.
And let's remember again, Stefan Veilleux has won a race. He won race 2 of this series, part of the Grand Prix de Canada on Le Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We talked about the smoking Honda Prelude of Benoit Teague. Well, they're trying to solve that smoking problem in pit lane for Teague.
This is costly for him, Benoit Teague, who's second in points as we switch back to Schill in the number 66 car, and Shirk has moved up on the Grand Sport car.
Now this is interesting. You've got 2 different classes, remember. Shirk in that pinkish Honda Prelude. He is in sport class and showing that they can be very competitive with some of the slower Grand Sports cars.
Indeed, Schill not having a great day here, and Shirk really doing a good job as they go into the carousel. A double apex turn, very difficult, looking for momentum here as we go to the leaderboard.
After 7 laps, Stefan Veilleux is your leader in Grand Sports. John Shirk passing David White to grab the lead in sport. While in touring, it's the team of Armstrong and Craig. Welcome back to Le Circuit Mont-Tremblant. Benoit Tige leaving pit lane after a long stop to hopefully cure his smoking problem.
Behind Mark Schill's Camaro is the battle between John Shirk's Prelude and Dave White's Talon. A great dice, and Schill not having a great day in 9th place.
Now let's look at a battle, John, this is in touring class now, and this is the Honda Civic of Jocelyn A. Baer, just ahead of the Acura of Rob Vining.
Car number 33 is the leader. Vining and Heber are going for 2nd place as they come out of 7 down into the carousel. Watch the rough pavement. It upsets the Civic, and there goes Vining inside. I think he's got him clean.
Now, it's interesting. We've seen this before. You would think that the drivers would learn by now the inside line is better, but look at the Civic. Seems to have a little bit more horsepower in grabbing that inside line to keep the lead from the Acura. But don't you learn as a driver? Don't you want to take the inside line?
Well, it's tough. You see, Vining kept the momentum down. He's now inside going into the Gulch, and I think he's going to grab it. Yes, he gets it away from Hebert. But
hold on,
gets
Peter.
wide.
And he almost loses it. Rob Vining in his Acura. Oh, we got problems. Pit lane. The hood's going up. That Eagle Talon, David White.
Let's look at the replay here. Going into the carousel. He's going wide. There's something wrong with the car. Can you hear the radio, Vic?
Flat tire, maybe?
Yeah, coming in, I've got a flat tire. I think that's what he said. He's much slower going up the straightaway, getting back to the pit.
So a bad time for a pit stop. Let's find out what happened. Greg Stuzik is White's co-driver.
David didn't go off the road. He just, massive blowout. We're not sure what the problem was.
Well, the problem probably is what you talked about, the excessive tire wear.
Yes, a very abrasive circuit, and if you're not carrying enough tire pressure, you can get into trouble. But here's Lockhart down the straightaway into the Gulch underneath Paul Duckworth. Takes a position away, and he's setting off after the championship leading Grand Sport car from Bob Johnson Chevrolet Oldsmobile as they go through the Gulch up to the Michelin Bridge. Lockhart is a man with a mission, Vic.
Greg Wilkins just ahead of him. Emphasizing again, Lockhart, the pole sitter, forced to go to pit lane with that loose fire extinguisher. Started then at the back of the field.
Vic,
and
he's
look at
making
him
a
now.
move. He's making a move. He's underneath him going in an Amaro. Takes it away.
But now on the exit, where will he be? He has to go wide. You go in narrow, you come out wide. And yes, indeed, he does have it as he moves ahead of Greg Wilkins. And by our count, moves into 5th place.
Setting off after the Firebird of Von Engelbrechten and, of course, our leader, Stefan Veilleux.
As we check the complete field rundown for you, Veilleux continues to lead in Grand Sport. While in Sport class, it's John Shirk. And in Touring, it's the team of Mark Craig, Bob Armstrong in their Nissan 2000 NX. Stefan Veilleux, problems for him possibly, or is this just a regular pit stop?
Well, they're taking on fuel. They had the front of the car open, and as we switch to Maxwell, Lockhart has the Mustang in his sights, really making a remarkable drive back to the front from 20th, Vic, as they come up into Namro Hairpin, and down they go, closing up on Maxwell's Mustang, and he's moved out a little bit soon. Lockhart trying to establish himself on the outside, going down the start-finish straightaway. This is the move that's going to make it into corner 1. That's your favorite corner. He takes it away, down over the hill and into the S's. Lockhart ahead of Maxwell.
And into 2nd place, remarkable driving by Peter Lockhart, the pole sitter, all the way to the back of the field, now up to 2nd, and his next target, Von Engelbrechten.
Of course, the Firebird is in the lead because Veilleux has already been into the pits, and it's remarkable what a great job Lockhart is doing with the BMW, which seems to be suited to the track.
Now Stefan Veilleux, after his pit stop 15 laps in, is back on course, but he's going to pay dearly for this stop.
They go zooming by into corner 1, a very difficult pit out at Mont-Tremblant, a very tight circuit, lots of changes as we ride with Veilleux down the hill into the S's, and trouble.
We've got Benoit Tige, that Honda Prelude that has been smoking right from the green flag, has come to a stop now. It looks like the end of the line for Benoit Tige. There is your leader. That is Rolf von Engelbrechten, who has inherited the lead, and comfortably so. But let's make the point again that in endurance racing, the race always comes back to the players after pit stop.
Well, you certainly hope they do. Von Engelbrechten doing a remarkable job with this car. Very, very good car control as they go down to the carousel. But my eyes say he's sliding the car too much, and that may play right into Lockhart's hands. Because to maintain his lead, he has to be smooth. You hear he had to lift off the gas, and look at this.
A battle between Mike Hart and Jeff Lapsevich. This is for fourth, the number 32, the white Camaro. That, of course, is Jeff Lapsevich. Right behind him, that is Mike Hart, the number 2 Chevrolet Camaro, sponsored by Sony.
A little bit of paint being traded here as the Tim Horton Camaro holds off the Bob Johnson number 2 car. And he's right on his tail. Notice the cars are moving around. Hart looking to the left, looking to the right, trying to find a way through down into corner 1. Is he going to make it?
Little loose the back end. We see Lapsevich just sliding it a bit, and of course, sitting in behind, that is Greg Wilkins, the other Bob Johnson team car, looking for a mistake by those 2 front runners. Maybe he can slide through. Up over the speed bumps goes Lapsevich.
Into 7. Hart trying to find a way through as they come out of corner 7 and head down to the carousel. Hart is a man wanting to get by, and he's moving wide. Lapsevich feints to the right. Will he make it? To the left, to the right. Hart looking for a way through as they come under braking pretty heavily at the end of the carousel.
When you talk about double apex, what are you talking about?
You move in to the first apex, then the car slides out, and you move back in and then move out again. 2 apexes, almost 2 corners in 1. Hart still trying to get by the Tim Horton Camaro down the straightaway. A good run into the gulch, but he's not close enough to make a move. Under braking. This is a great shot with the Sony Handycam. They're heading up to the Michelin bridge. Is he going to find a way through? Yes, he's going underneath him. Can he put it away? I think he's too late. No, right inside.
What a great move.
What a great move. You're right. Vic.
Super. Absolutely. Now has
and
he got him
side by
side.
He's not giving up. And Hortons is in great position now for Namarau. They're touching as they go underneath under braking. Yes.
No.
Yes. Vic, wonderful move there.
Oh,
Jeff
now
grabs it.
Jive inside, forcing him up onto the speed bumps. Now side by side, the little left-hander. Lapsevich loses
Jeff.
the back end just a bit. They touch door handles again. Through the start-finish line, grinding it out as they come down and up into turn 1. And finally, Mike Hart has him, moving in front of Jeff Lapsevich.
You gotta call Mike Hart for great driving. A little bit of Dale Earnhardt in the Bob Johnson number 2 Camaro. And sitting behind Jeff now, he's threatened by the number 3 championship leading Wilkins car.
And John, it's interesting. After that battle, Lapsevich, to play on words, appears to have lost his heart now and has dropped back a little bit.
That's right. He really held off Hart, but I think that little oversteer through the kink on the start-finish straight cost him dearly.
Today on the iTech High-Tech Report, Paul Duckworth explains something new in brake temperature management.
What's been provided to us by Durham Instruments is a brake monitoring system that tells us the brake temperature or the temperature of the brake rotors at any given point during the race. So what we have is a digital display. We take a look down, we have an LED readout, tells us exactly what the temps are, gives us a good indication of how our braking capabilities will be. Depending on where we're running or what kind of a battle we're running in, we'll take a look down. If the temps are real high, we'll know we got to run a little bit conservative, take it easy, cool the brakes wherever we can to make sure we have brakes for the next zone. If they're running mid-range, we know we can go full throttle and dive bomb people and go for the win. Normally you'd run about the 600 to 700 degree range. When you start to push a little bit, you get towards 800 or so degrees. When you really start pushing, you get over 1,000 degrees. You know that you're getting to the point of fade out, and you really got to be careful going into your next braking zone.
And on a circuit like this, brakes get a workout.
brakes, tires, and evidently fenders, as 32 and 3 are now set to trade some paint.
Jeff Lapsevich in the number 32, and again you can see him start to fishtail, that back end getting a little loose, and Greg Wilkins putting on all kinds of pressure. Meanwhile, Mike Hart comfortably pulling away as we ride along with Greg Wilkins, and just ahead of him, Lapsevich looking to the inside. Got him here?
I think he has, and side by side through the carousel, it'll be a drag race up the straightaway. But I think as we watch them come down the hill, Lapcevic has the margin, so back in behind, get the draft, and have another run at him. You know, Lapcevic has overheated his tires. Vic, it's so difficult to bring the tires back because the discipline is to drive a little less than the maximum you've been driving at without giving up your position. That's the challenge for car number 32, and you see that is not a challenge being met because now Wilkins is going to try again. Wilkins needs to be patient. My guess is he'll get him going into Namarau.
Well, it's tough too, I think, if you're Lapsevich. I mean, how do you bring the tires, cool off the tires when you're being pressured by Wilkins?
You can't do what he's doing, which is drive the car loose. And Wilkins has to hang back a little bit, allow Lapcevic to get a little bit ahead so he can get a good run at him. You see, Wilkins is holding the car too tight as well, and he'll overheat his own tires, and that means he won't have the margin to get Lapcevic, which my guess is going to happen either at the carousel or at the S's as we watch this fantastic racing with these three Camaros, Lapcevic in the Tim Hortons car and the Bob Johnson Sony car of Greg Wilkins. This is a black number 3 Chevy, and this is a Dale Earnhardt tradition, and he taps Lapcevic as they come out of the S's.
Maybe gave him a little bit of a fender rub there, a little bumper tap. But Lapcevic managing to hold off. There is, though, terrible understeer on that white Tim Hortons car.
Understeer and oversteer. That's an indication that the tires have gone off as they go down to the carousel, and he's braking a little bit on the smooth stuff. You see Lapcevic has moved out, and now Wilkins goes underneath him.
This is where you thought the pass might take place. Now Lapcevic on the outside trying to hold off Wilkins, and once again we have this drag race.
Side by side up the straightaway. Lapcevic has the margin. Wilkins trying on the outside. And he's giving up again. Not enough momentum.
Now, isn't that interesting? You would think we've seen earlier in the carousel, the inside line is the smoother line. And we've seen a lot of passing. I wonder why Wilkins can't get him there.
Too late. That move was too late, and he just didn't have enough time. Now they go under the bridge again. You see, Wilkins is still holding it too tight. He has to run the line, cool the tires off to take advantage of the 32 car. He can't do it yet.
Now they're setting themselves up for Namarau again. Will he get him this time?
Good move this time. I think this, yes, a tap. The 32 car got him back again. So as they go outside, down, and Wilkins this time is wide. Jeff has gone all the way to the outside, down the straightaway, side by side into one, tucks back in. I think Wilkins has got the margin now.
Without a doubt, and you look at Lapcevic, he's probably got tattooed fenders on both sides now. Von Engelbrecht, who continues to lead in Grand Sports. John Shirk in Sport Class, while after 24 laps in Touring, it's Armstrong and Craig. Welcome back to Le Circuit as we near the halfway point of this, the fourth race, the Michelin Enduro Series. Peter Lockhart, look at him now. He is within striking distance of the leader in Grand Sports, Rolf van Engelbrechten. What a drive it has been for Lockhart. Pole sitter, last, and now up to second and ready to make a move for first.
In just over half an hour of driving, Lockhart has hunted down his man and is closing up on the Firebird of von Engelbrechten. That BMW M5 stretched to the limit as Lockhart overcomes an early pit stop to secure a loose fire extinguisher. He's right up behind von Engelbrechten through the S's, and he has the better line as they come out.
Without a doubt, he absolutely blows by that Firebird. And you have to wonder, you made mention of tire wear, and we've seen it with Lapsevich. Wonder if the tire wear is affecting that Firebird.
No doubt, Vic. Von Engelbrechten was showing very good car control, but he was burning his tires up in the early laps, and now von Engelbrechten has had to give best to Peter Lockhart.
Peter Lockhart from last to first in 25 laps here at Le Circuit. He has simply been unstoppable since he came out of the pits.
A wonderful job as they come out of the carousel and up the straightaway, and there's movement behind von Engelbrechten, but you can see the margin that Lockhart has taken to take over first place. Von Engelbrechten is unable to deal with it, cannot make any impression back.
Just watch the way the car handles the corners. What impresses me is how it sort of just squats and rests comfortably on the road.
The car is low, and the transitions from left to right are very good. And also, Lockhart is a very disciplined driver, very tidy as he comes down underneath the GM Motorsport bridge into the Namaro corner. Look how well he turns in there.
And you talk about setup of race cars. Is setup important here at Le Circuit?
The whole thing, setup of the car, but tire pressure is also very important to make sure that the tires yield the good performance over the entire driving stint, because they may have to pit stop and change all their tires. As we look at the GM Goodwrench Camaro, number 3 of Wilkins.
And right behind him, that's Lapsevich. In closing after his pit stop is Stéphane Veilleux, the former leader. He started in the second row, remember, fell back, and now trying to regain some of those positions. And let's see, he gets Lapsevich here. Lapsevich with the bad tires.
Yes, and Veilleux grabs the position away from the poor Tim Hortons driver, who's been training a lot of paint today, as Veilleux sets off after number 3, that's Wilkins, and I think Wilkins is due for a pit stop, so he may just let him by. Veilleux makes the move, good momentum down the hill into the gulch. Will he get him? Yes. I don't think Wilkins is trying that much, Vic, because now the strategy will unfold as the pit stops are made. Don't forget, Veilleux has already been into the pits, and he's taken on his fuel load.
Now he comes up on one of the back markers in a lower class. Stéphane Veilleux is up now, we believe, to third place overall. Stéphane Veilleux.
Very disciplined, the lesser cars in this class, allowing the faster cars to go by as we look at Lockhart leading this race through the S's. Notice how disciplined this driver is. I keep saying disciplined, but he's not running up on the speed bumps.
Not at all.
He's just keeping the car under control, conserving fuel, conserving tires, going the distance.
Because we've made the point, this BMW M5 is a very thirsty car.
Absolutely. Eats a lot of gas, and Lockhart has to conserve it down the carousel. Notice he moves a little bit to the inside to get around those bumps through the carousel. See, the double apex comes back in and moves out, and we're in the pits. We've got a driver change in the car number 3.
Car number 3, Greg Wilkins. You can see him climbing out. It will be Kenny Wilden climbing into that number 3 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet Camaro. Let's look at the battle here. Going into Namaro, touring Jocelyn Hebert, Monsieur Muffler, the Honda Civic. Inside, putting the squeeze on Rob Vining as they come down to the start-finish line.
Vining had to put on his brakes. Hebert took that little dice away from him in fine fashion as they come down the straightaway into corner 1. Vining looking for a way to get back, but Hebert really knows this racetrack. a brilliant job in the Mr. Muscular Civic.
Locking him up a little bit.
Right rear wheel locks up the car. Weight isn't very good right there. It's a little off balance. Vining looking still for a way round.
Currently in second place in Grand Sports, Rolf van Engelbrechten, and his tires seem to be done as well.
Totally gone. And speaking of tires, there goes Veilleux. A spin going into the S's. He's getting going right away. He's not going to lose a position, but that's going to be costly. Stefan Veilleux in the Dicom Porsche 968. Let's take a look at it inside. Down into the S's, turns in, too tight. Turns in too soon. He tries to hold it, can't bring it back. Trying to find a gear to get going again. Reacted very quickly, Vic.
Stefan Veilleux, who was the winner in Montreal, now to the touring battle again as Rob Vining goes after the Monsieur Muffler of Jocelyn Hebert. And coming up behind him, the Grand Sport, that's the Mustang Cobra of Scott Maxwell, who won race 3 right here at Le Circuit.
Maxwell must be due for a pit stop as well as he looks for a way by. Yes, Vining's letting him go. No, he's letting them go. There's something up with Maxwell. He must be due for a stop or something. Vining's doing his best to get him out of his way, saying, hey, listen, get out of my way. I got a race to deal with. And it looks like Maxwell is just right off the pace.
Now that's interesting. I mean, Vining gave him a couple of chances to get by before he finally took it.
I don't think Maxwell could respond, and Vining was probably being too nice because he's lost a lot of ground to Monsieur Hebert.
All the while, your leader comfortably, Peter Lockhart, in that BMW M5. And now also comes into play what happens mentally. He worked so hard, John, to get through the field from last to first. Now he has to keep up that aggressive driving, don't you?
Well, aggressive, but he's got to pace himself as well. He's got to the lead. Now he's got to maintain it. He's got to take care of passing slower cars like this Firebird inside at the carousel. Notice the front of the car bumping a little bit, but Lockhart, very disciplined guy. I think he's the man for the task as we watch them come out of the carousel and up the long straightaway at Mont Tremblant. A beautiful place to race and fine, exciting racing.
Because both you and I have seen enough times that a driver will make a mistake at this point mentally.
That's correct. And it is a 250-kilometer race. Speaking of mistakes, Veilleux's spin has ripped the muffler off, and if he's not in the pits this time, he will be black flagged, I'm sure. Unless that muffler breaks loose, he's got a real problem.
Watching and it's just dangling back there, and there it goes.
Off. Well, good for him. At least he'll be able to continue. And the Mustang is in the pits.
Scotty Maxwell, the Ford Cobra, is in for tires and fuel.
This is going to be a costly pit stop. 4 tires. We saw earlier that Maxwell was really struggling. He needs tires.
John Shirk in his Honda Prelude, currently the leader in sport class, trying to chase down the Eagle Talon. That's the number 27 of Antonio and Bruno Busso.
Out of 7 into the carousel, a favorite place to pass, and he's doing what he can to do that. Yes, and the advantage, of course, is the pavement. They're looking for the good line through as they go into the carousel. Shirk, an outstanding drive today. And into the pits is Lockhart.
Peter Lockhart comes in. He's your leader and leading comfortably.
He must be on schedule now. This is a fuel stop. There is no driver change because Lockhart's going solo here.
Remember, he was in earlier for that loose fire. Oh, look at this, Rob Vining getting it sideways.
Oversteer through the gulch, but he's got the lead back from the Civic in the touring class.
Rob Vining ahead of Jocelyn Hebert. Look at the smoke pouring from the engine area of Lockhart's car.
I think that's brake dust. I don't think it's anything to worry about as they're looking at the watch, and we're waiting for Veilleux, who's in second place, to come around. Can they get out before Veilleux? Don't forget, Veilleux's had some trouble. He's spun, and he's lost his muffler. I don't know if that's affecting the car. So now, here goes Lockhart.
Back into action, and let's remember, let's just update some people there.
In front
Oh,
of
you bet. Here comes Stefan Veilleux. The pressure on the gas there's no pressure, so you have to wait. It's just conventional. And you also, in the pit stops, have to have at least 60 seconds total throughout the entire race. But there's the difference now between Veilleux and your leader, Lockhart.
And Vic, the difference between being in the lead and being second for Veilleux is that costly spin in the S's. And don't forget, he's lost his muffler, which may affect the performance of the automobile.
Now, what will that do to the engine?
Well, the exhaust is tuned to the engine. You need a certain length of exhaust, and if it's not there, it may reduce power.
Another good battle, John. Back in the field, this is Kenny Wilden, who has just stepped into that Chevrolet Camaro for Greg Wilkins and Lee Bentham. Now we go to Scott Maxwell, his Mustang Cobra. 4 new tires, full of fuel, looking good as somebody lights them up just a little bit.
That's Jocelyn Hebert in the Mr. Muffler, always picking up that inside rear wheel into the S's and smoking the tire.
Back on board with our leader, Peter Lockhart. His crew chief is Terry France.
Car's running well. We have a 38-second lead with 8 laps to go. And unfortunately, our radio's broken and we don't have a fuel readout, so we're going to have to guess a little at the end here.
So it's going to be interesting for Lockhart and team as Stéphane Veilleux is back in pit lane.
Look at that man. He's not happy, trying to get this car cranked, and all the while Lockhart is getting away. Look at this beautiful split shot here. Lockhart, smooth on the steering wheel, not cooking his tires, just alone in front. A wonderful driving job from a master.
Who learned from one of the best in John Powell. But all the while, Lockhart comfortably in front. We have Stéphane Veilleux sitting in pit lane, and his day is done. They say vapor lock.
You look at this face here. This is high drama. Chasing Lockhart for second. A chance to be in the lead. That spin, the lost muffler. I say it again. The guy must feel terrible.
Stéphane Veilleux, a winner in Montreal, is out here at Le Circuit. It is all Peter Lockhart here in round 4 of this Michelin Enduro Series.
We're on the last lap as Lockhart heads for the checkered flag, having driven solo in this 250-kilometer race down under the GM Motorsport Bridge, up into Namarau. Lockhart, the BMW M5 with Beach Auto sponsorship. One more corner to go, a kink in the straight, and Peter Lockhart will get the flag.
Congratulations to Peter Lockhart. What a wonderful drive it was. The pole sitter forced into pit lane. A loose fire extinguisher brought him to the back of the pack, and now he wins it all from last to first. And what a terrific drive for the team of Von Engelbrechten. And this lady, Terry McDonald-Cadieux, the teammate, finishes second. And Kenny Wilden and his teammate, Greg Wilkins, finishing third.
GM Goodwrench will have to be satisfied with a second and third today. Terry McDonald-Cadieux, the first woman in pro racing to finish in a podium position.
Peter Lockhart wins for the second time this season in Grand Sport. John Shirk is the winner in Sport class ahead of the Busos, while your touring winner, the team of Armstrong and Craig. Today's 4th race in the 1994 Michelin Enduro Series on TSN has been brought to you in part by Prestone, more than just an antifreeze, and by Minidisc from Sony, the smaller recordable compact disc. Shane Grossman, who finished 9th, is the lucky winner of a trip for 2 to any of 147 cities served by Canadian Airlines International.
Thank you very much, Canadian. I think we're going to Vancouver.
Canadian Airlines International, proud sponsor of the Michelin Enduro Series. Welcome back to scenic Le Circuit Mont-Tremblant. Round 4 is in the books, the Michelin Enduro Series on TSN. And there in that BMW M5, acknowledging the course workers and the fans, is Peter Lockhart, who wins for the second time this season. And he did it all by himself, driving solo here at Mont-Tremblant. And finishing second, along with her teammate Von Engelbrechten, this is Terry McDonald-Ketcheur. So the standings after 4 rounds, look how it's tightened up now, just 7 points separating Kenny Wilden, Greg Wilkins, from the winner, Peter Lockhart.
Well, I had a big surprise on the first lap. The fire extinguisher came loose inside the car and started flying around. And next thing I know, it went off and covered everything inside here with fire protectant. And I knew that I couldn't drive like that because it was bouncing back and forth and it must weigh 40 pounds. So I had to make an early pit stop. And then it was really important to be very disciplined and not use the tires. I knew I was 40-something seconds behind, and I was actually 35 seconds or so, and I let it grow to about 40 to make sure I wasn't cooking the tires, because I really wanted to make sure I had rubber at the end, because I knew I'd have to be strong for the whole race. So it worked out that way, and we just drove a very disciplined race and tried to make sure the car didn't slide around.
And for Terry McDonald-Ketcheur, the best ever finish, second place for a woman in professional racing in Canada.
I just feel great. I mean, it was mostly Rolf. He gave me an excellent car to finish with, and I just can't be happier. I think God was with me the whole time. It was great.
Congratulations to Terry McDonald-Ketcheur. John Shirk, the winner in sport, and he is now the leader by 20 points over David White. John Shirk, the winner in his Honda Prelude.
Well, I started off pacing myself, trying to keep the tires in good condition, keep the brakes in good condition, because the tire wear here is very bad. So we tried to take it easy and kind of run and stay with Dave White's car and keep things even with him at least, because we knew we could probably go quicker if we pushed harder once his co-driver got in the car. So he had a problem, and I think he had a flat tire and then some other trouble, and then the other Talon, or the other Mitsubishi, was not quite as fast anyway. So once he made his pit stop, I was more than a lap ahead, and I just took it easy after that. So I was driving around in 4th gear, 5th gear, trying different things that I never get to try when I'm under pressure race conditions. So, but it was a little bit boring. But when the Grand Sport cars came by, I tried to chase them and have some fun. So it was good.
In touring class, the win goes to the team of Mark Craig, Bob Armstrong in their Nissan NX 2000. Jocelyn Hebert, though, continues to lead by a slim 5 points over Armstrong. Craig just 10 behind.
It was just a fantastic race. I had Mark start the race. He was just so consistent. He pulled out a good lead. We had over 30 seconds, I think, prior to our pit stop to the advantage of second place. And so we were able to change our tires. We were having a little problem, as was most of the field, with tires this weekend. But we were able to change tires and get out. Crew did a fantastic job. And I simply went out and finished it off. Great run for us, and Mark did a super job.
Mark, can you tell me what's the advantage of having a Nissan 2000 NX? Because I know there's a lot of different cars in your class.
Well, we feel the Nissan obviously is the best car, that's for sure, and I think that was proven today. Unfortunately, the Boyer brothers had a problem, but we were the two fastest cars out there. So the specific advantage, I don't know, it's better in every way in our opinion, and when you have good sponsors like CKMF and UAP Napa parts and Nissan car, everything went well today.
Wilden and Wilkins third in this race, but leaders in standings.
It was hot out there. I don't know how Peter did it for 2 hours, but it was good. The Goodwrench car ran flawlessly. You know, we fixed our oversteer problem from yesterday, and now we had a massive understeer problem. So now we know what to do. So I think we're pretty happy with 2/3 this weekend. We didn't break all weekend. We ran consistent, and we're in the points lead. It was a tough weekend for a lot of people, and I think we came out probably with the most points out of the whole weekend. So we're really happy.
Consistency paying off for the team of Wilden and Wilkins as they continue to lead the Grand Sport standings. But the winner of round 4 of this Michelin Enduro Series at Le Circuit, he went the distance in his BMW M5, Peter Lockhart. We'll be back with you from the legendary street circuit round the Hippodrome in Trois-Rivières. Be sure to join us for round 5 of the Michelin Enduro Series here on TSN. So till we talk with you again from Trois-Rivières, on behalf of John Powell and our entire crew, I'm Vic Rauter. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye from Le Circuit Mont Tremblant.